Hi, Miss Maria.
Hi.
Always good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Did you get all my referrals? Hopefully they're all
Oh, yes.
this week.
I've been calling them one by one.
Oh, good. They're all
Yeah.
really great. I hope they work out really well.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
Absolutely. Alejandro, I am gonna let you kind of lead whenever you're ready for me to get started. Just let me know.
Yeah, of course. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We will just be waiting a little bit of a couple of more minutes just in case more people join. So you can just like wait a little bit more and then we can start with the webinar.
Look at this great background. Is it Shayna has? I love that. I don't know if she can. Yeah.
Hello, good morning from Australia. Thank you.
Hello. My best friend was just down under. She said it was the greatest trip she ever took in her entire life.
Oh, that's
I
so
don't doubt it. Where did she go?
All over. She was in Sydney and then Cairns. Does that sound right?
Cairns. Yeah, that's
Yes,
up north
ma'am.
from where we are.
Yep.
Great. She would have loved it there.
Oh, she spent 3 weeks there. I said, you should have brought me. I could have been your secretary or
Rude. Just rude.
carrier luggage.
Anything will do.
Yeah, I know. We gotta
You'll
get
have to come at some point yourself then.
I would love it. I would absolutely love it. It would be a pleasure. Well, thank you for joining us. What time is it there now?
Oh, it's a nice early 3 a.m.
Oh my gracious.
I know, devoted to the cause.
That's great.
That's amazing.
I figured we're a very new agency, so I figure I've got a lot to learn, so I should probably make the sacrifice of a few hours sleep.
Well, wow. Well, I hope that you learn a lot and there's a pretty
No
good
pressure.
community here.
No pressure.
No, I'm used to it. Thank you, Clint, for making it. I'm excited. I don't have a slide for you, but I have nothing but amazing things to say.
Hey, if all you talk about is me and how amazing I am, I'll love this webinar. So absolutely worth waking up at noon my time.
Not 3 a.m., you lucky man, you lucky man.
I'm glad this is recorded so you can't say that you didn't say anything nice.
That's right.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have already 20 participants. So I don't know, Megan, if you would like to start.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, perfect. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Today we have again the amazing Megan, which will help you, which will teach you and show you and show us everything related to corporate childcare. So please go ahead, Megan. We're very excited for this, and thank you for joining us.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure. So if you have not been to one of my webinars before, I do things a little differently. So I like to make them interactive. So what that means is, even though I have a slide presentation and a train, I want you to ask questions. I want you to participate. I want you to push. I want you to challenge. I want you to get as much information out of the next 60 minutes that you can, okay? So even though you're automatically muted, you can easily unmute yourself, ask a question. You can put it in the chat box, and Marisha can say it out loud for you if you don't want to show your face. That's fine. But I don't want this to be the Megan show. I want this to be the place where we come together and really learn with one another. Does that sound like a plan? And he mentions corporate care. And yes, I am the corporate care queen. I love corporate care and all things corporate care. But today we're going to be talking about growth in general, not just with corporate care. Okay. All right. So let's get started. Alejandro, can you please allow me to share my screen?
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
I think now that you're available. Perfect.
I am good. Okay, so today we are going to talk about the reason why growth may scare you and how to embrace it. All right. So for many of you, whether you're new or whether you have been in business for a while, you may come to a place where you feel like you are stagnant, right? And stagnant in business is never a good thing. We want to be pushing ourselves. We want to be growing. And what I will tell you is no matter how long you've been doing this, you're always going to face challenges. The only difference is the problems or the challenges change as you grow, right? The quality of the problem changes, the size of the problem changes. So if you are brand new to the industry, your main problem may be systemizing, which is how you find incredible engine hire. If you've been in business for a while, you've got your systems, you now want to make your first hire, your problem may be, how do I assure they're going to do the job as well as I will, right? If you've been in business even longer and you have a whole team of people, your problem can be, how can I help my team grow and how can we reach the next level? So we're going to talk about a couple of different things around growth strategies and hopefully help you get unstuck and ready to go to the next level. So what's on deck? We're going to talk about the true business cycle. And this is something that surprises a lot of my clients, but hopefully they will embrace it. And I'm kind of wearing the same dress. That's creepy. We're going to tell you some personal stories. I'm an open book if you haven't met me. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the horrible, miserable manager I used to be. We're going to do a little bit of mindset shift, talk about experts, the 5 A's of managing your team, keys to successful VA placement. And we have a wonderful Clint from Level here to answer questions about that, and then continued growth. So let's do it. So the average small business owner, if you would believe, 70% of small businesses are owned and operated by one person. They do all of it. And so what that means for us is they are doing the recruitment, they are doing the hiring, they are talking to the clients, they are doing the billing, they are doing, if they employ, the payroll, they are doing the marketing, they are doing the IT and the sales and the business development. I guess I don't have to tell you because we all most likely started here and many of us may still be here. But what I will say, my friends, is this is not obtainable. It is not something that you could do long-term, because if you don't do it, it doesn't get done, right? Money doesn't continue to get made. And so honestly, with all respect, if you are doing it all, you have a very busy job, right? So an actual business looks a little like this. You are the owner of this business, and your number one priority as a business owner is to take care of your team. That is where you should be spending almost all of your time. The team's job is to take care of the customer or the client or the family, whichever you use. And the customer's job is to take care of the business. The business then in turn will take care of you. So this is a true business. And this is the difference between the successful businesses that you see and strive to be and the ones that seem to be overwhelming and overworked and underpaid and unappreciated, right? And so a lot of times when clients come to us, they are trying to go straight from owner to customer still. They're cutting out that team, right? They're not focused on growing their team members in order for the whole cycle to work. And I'll be honest, that was me for a really long time. And I think this is part of the reason why. I love this quote. When you first have staff, it gets scary to think about replacing them. Just like falling in love for the first time, you can't imagine life without them. So you hire that first person that actually gets it, the one that works hard, the one that you call when there's any issues, the one that's always there. And you're like, I can't imagine my life without them, right? And for me, that was a young woman named Kate. And Kate has been with me for 10 years. As how long Kate has been with me. And the idea of losing Kate would literally, like, I'd wake up with cold sweats. I was like, I can't do my life without Kate, right? I now knew that team was important, yet I was so focused on keeping Kate there, that I didn't manage her maybe the way that I should have, right? But as most of us have experienced, after that first love, you go through some heartbreak, you learn more what you need and what you like, and then your next relationship is better. That's the hope, at least, right? So here I am, completely miserable. I was focused on staff productivity, which means I was overworking them. I was micromanaging them. Guys, I would literally sit in the bathroom and read their sent emails. Like, wow, crazy psycho boss. I would like text them all hours of the night. Where are we with this? What happened here? If somebody canceled, I wanted to know why. Did we do something wrong? I was an anxious mess. And the reason why was I was so focused on the customers, and I was so focused on the hours and the business itself, and I wasn't focused on them, right? My cycle wasn't working. So I was giving them tasks that they weren't happy with. I was giving them tasks they weren't even good at. I was trying to learn to delegate, but I was doing it all wrong. And in turn, we went through a lot of team members. I really don't know how Kate survived. I really still say that to this day. I don't know how Kate survived, but she did. Luckily, she did. And for those of you that don't know my Kate, she was with me through the birth of 3 children. She was with me through losing one of my children. She was with me through a divorce. She was with me through a marriage. She was with me through the death of a husband. Like, she is literally the essence of PCC. And so when I tell people the story, or when they meet Kate, they're always like, I need a Kate. Everything will be fine if I find a Kate. Well, guys, guess what? Kate is pregnant and due in 14 days. Her time has come to an end, and we're going to be okay. And I'm going to tell you why we're going to be okay, and how to set yourself up correctly so that it doesn't all fall on you, and it doesn't all fall on your version of Kate. Does that sound like a plan? Okay. Here's the interactive part. Questions, comments, thoughts so far? Nothing? Y'all just want to keep hearing me talk. Let's do it.
Megan, I just have one quick question. This
Of
is
course,
Maria.
Maria. Hi.
You've answered this for me, and now I can't really remember, but what the answer was. But when you say it's our job, the business owner, to manage the team, you're referring to the admin staff who then manages their team, which is the sitters, or are you saying it's your job to manage all of it, the sitter, interface with the sitters as much as possible, or childcare workers, and what exactly is the breakdown for that?
That is a fantastic question. So for those of you that might have missed, let me see if I can, I don't think I can go backwards, can I? For those of you that might have missed this, Maria is referring to the business cycle. Maria, I am referring to your admin staff. You're exactly right. Okay. So we actually have 2 different customers in the nanny agency world. We have our families or our clients, and then we have our nannies or our caregivers. I look at those equally as customers. We need to sell to both of those individuals. We need to assure that we are managing those relationships. We're keeping them engaged, right? We're meeting their needs.
And
So
they're very different. They're very different needs. So yeah.
They are. And so my team's role, one of my team members is on the nanny side, right? Another team member is on the client side. Different agencies do it different ways, but you're exactly right, Maria. You can't be all things to everyone. But your goal is to help that admin team and to set up the systems and processes for them to take care of nanny customers or caregiver customers and client family customers. That's a great question, Maria, and exactly what I'm asking for you guys to do. Make this presentation yours, okay? All right. So I had a mindset shift that I want to share with you guys in hopes that it will help you be more successful, because I don't want you guys to be miserable. Please, let's not do that. So in my mindset shift, I realized instead of keeping people, my job was to grow them, right? Instead of like trying to hold on to them so tightly that they would never leave, my job was for them to come into my life to grow. And it could be for a period of time. It could be for 10 years. That's not my place to decide and choose, right? But I needed to give them all the support that I could to succeed in the role, to help them harvest and learn their own skills and capabilities. And then I had to have a plan for when they outgrew me. And I had to do that every single time I looked to hire someone, right? So every single time I had to say, okay, what is this individual good at? How can I help them grow as a professional and as a person? Because by them growing, they are going to then make the business better. Okay. So I use an example. Marisha is here today. She probably can speak to this example. Oh my goodness. And this really, guys, just came recently, just so you realize how recent this mindset shift has been happening for me. When Kate found out she was pregnant, I was like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? We're going to die. We can't live without Kate, right? And one of the things that Kate did every single week was orientation. So we employ a ton of caregivers. And so she's orienting them. And so we were like, we got to do something different. So we automated the orientation process. You want to tell them what that looks like, Ms. M?
Yes, sure. So we've automated the orientation process to now, instead of Kate having to spend an hour or so speaking with our new app or our new candidates, we have a PDF that just tells them what to do, what to click, how to do it. And we have a video that walks them through pretty much everything Kate would be telling them anyway. And they still have the chance to talk to us and ask us questions. But instead of us having to spend time sitting on Zoom with them, they can just go through it and do it themselves at their own pace.
Yep, exactly. Same thing with our training process. We videotaped it and said, here you go, watch it at your own pace and submit a test afterwards. So we made sure that they watched it. And it went from taking 3 weeks to get a new person onboarded and screened to how long now?
Once we get to that point of the orientation, it's just, they get it in within 3 days. Once we get through the screening process and whatnot.
Yeah. So again, we were focused on how can we make a plan for each task to be as automated as possible, and for us to continue to grow, not focused solely on one person having to do a task. We have a question about that, it looks like.
I do have a question.
Okay. Do you want us to read it or you want to ask it? Who is that? Oh, I haven't met you. I would love for you to ask it.
Hi, my name is Jenna and I own a group in Boulder, Colorado. And I'm definitely interested also in automating my orientation rather than having someone live giving it. And I'd like to know what learning management systems you used to automate your orientation and then to check that people were watching it, spending the correct amount of time watching it, and completed it.
Oh my goodness, that's a great question. There are a series of online systems that you can use. Absolutely. Trainual, I think, is one of them that a lot of my clients will use. There are actually things that Engine Hire can put into place for you to help you with this as well. Preferred Childcare does things a little differently. And I'm going to just show you. Are you ready? This, can you guys see my screen? Whoops, it went away. This is our beautiful onboarding checklist for your orientation. Welcome. Here are our core values. I stand very strong behind our core values and want to work only with those that have similar core values. Here is our checklist. You watch a video here. You want to see how fancy it is? It's so fancy. So fancy.
Tell us that they're asking for you.
Fancy.
Because you may already be booked. Sure. You may be going into overtime. Yep. You may have that concert you forgot about. That's the story of my life.
Right. So we're going through our employee handbook in this video. Again, nothing super fancy here, guys. We're not talking professional quality. We have the open office hours that Marisha mentioned, where they can come on Tuesday mornings or Wednesday afternoons on Zoom to have any questions answered, which we think is super important. We have an employee packet that they receive virtually. Their paperwork we do through our payroll PEO. We ask for a headshot and we ask them to scan these documents into Engine Hire. That's it. Are you blown away at the simplicity or what? It works. They get this packet as well. Again, another little letter from me. Our video training videos are here. Our quiz is here. They have to score at 90% or higher. Requesting time off. They use a Google form there. CPR. Here's a copy of our employee handbook. Everything is linked. Everything is simple. We have not implemented the time tracking within Engine Hire, so we're using Param still, but this will change as that is changing. And then just additional information that they need. Here's that orientation video again that I showed you. So it doesn't have to be super complex. Professional, yes. Complex, no. It just needs to be consistent, and you need to have the system outlined. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Of course.
So Megan, you did this all yourself
We did, yes.
with your team? Okay, so you didn't outsource it to a learning management.
No, but well, no, actually our VA did it. We just sent her a whole bunch of links and said, make this look pretty.
Okay, and she did all that
Yes, yes.
presentation stuff. Yeah. Okay.
But we didn't hire an organization, right? All it was, guys, was just taking the idea of what are the different pieces that you need and putting them in one PDF with a checklist. And
Yeah.
that's all a system is. It's all the steps that a family goes through to register, right? Putting it in one document so that you can automate it through Engine Hire, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's keep going. Ask questions as you need. Okay, so we were talking about, oh, I love this. I just love this quote. Okay, I'm not a big sports fan, but have you ever watched the NFL and seen the football coaches on the sidelines, the ones yelling, right? Do you think that they could play the game effectively and score multiple touchdowns at their current age, size, and physical abilities? No, absolutely not. But that's not their job. Their job, relating back to ours, is not to be the one to catch the ball and run. Their job is to oversee the game and to bring the best out of every player on that field. So our role as true business owners is to oversee the direction of the business and to bring the best out of every team member that walks in our door. So I love my little football guy analogy. So what we decided to do with this mindset shift that we had was, instead of hiring more full-time people, we decided to hire multiple part-time experts. When MMC got really popular, I was running out of time to do my job as a business owner and mentoring the MMC team or the PCC team, right? I had more than enough team members. So we went down to 4. So I now do the 20-minute one-on-ones with 4 people a week, 1-hour meeting a week, and the rest is done by experts. It helped me free up my time. It helped me focus on those 4 team members, help them grow and be as effective as possible. And it improved the quality of the output. So I'm going to go into this next part and just talk to you about experts and what that means. Y'all interrupt, ask questions as you have them. So we think about experts. I typically will get some comments like, how can I hire somebody to do a job that I don't fully understand, like SEO or social media or blogging or graphic design? How can I oversee that person if I don't even know how it's done? And I would say, well, you hire experts all the time. I mean, hello, your hairdresser, right? Your barber, your masseuse, your chiropractor, right? These are individuals. Your nanny. My nanny is so much better with my children than I am. It's just shocking. But you hire experts all the time. So I want to challenge you to think, okay, what if we think differently? What if we look at the roles inside our organization and find people who are truly experts, like recruiters? We have a phenomenal recruiter through Level, and his job, yes, it's a male, and he's so good. His job is to get candidates in the door, and he's so good at it, and he loves it. and you just want to squeeze him. He's just one of those people you just can't get enough of. Bookkeeping. We are starting a bookkeeping business because so many of my agency owners just can't make waves of QuickBooks. It overwhelms them. Graphic design. You kind of know what you want, but you don't know how to put it together, and Canva can be just a hole of information. Creative writing. You might like writing, but not exactly sure how to stream all your thoughts perfectly. Hire an expert. SEO, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. Website design, no, thank you. Social media manager, appointment scheduler, an IT specialist, all the different roles that you could hire. Do we have a question?
Yes, it looks like we have one in the box and we have a hand raised.
Oh, look at that raise. Let's do the hand raise first. Hi, I don't think we met.
Hello, Megan. My name is Evan Joy Kroll. I had a question about the recruiter. You named where you got them from.
Yes.
Where was it?
Level. Do you want to speak, Clint? You want to say
Yes,
hi?
please. Oh, Cliff.
Here he is.
Hi.
Hi, Cliff.
Hi. So yeah, we help businesses hire recruiters. As a recruiting agency ourselves, we understand your business and we understand what you do. So a lot of people in the nanny agencies have hired recruiters through us, and I'm happy to chat with you after this because I want to respect Megan's time and the amazing content she has right now. But
Absolutely.
I'll drop my email in the chat for you. Of
Thank you.
course.
So you could do it a variety of different ways. You could do it on your own, and there are a lot of agency owners that do it on their own. And here's what I'll say. It's a lot of work. It is a needle in a haystack, but you can use, I'm doing it on my own right now for a client who wanted it done like yesterday. So he doesn't want to wait for a VA company to find the right fit. I would say if you are like, I need somebody today, you have waited too long to hire, right? You've waited way too long. If you were in the weeds, you needed to have hired somebody before. And so in our group coaching, one of the topics we'll be talking about this coming month is going to be the buyback principle and being able to exactly calculate when it's time to make your next hire. So that's something, those are the sorts of topics that we talk about in group coaching. But I will say it is possible to do on your own. Upwork is a little bit like a dating app, if you've ever had the luxury of exploring one of those. And so I've probably spent, I've spent over 9 hours going through applications and setting up interviews and meeting people for this client because he needs somebody like yesterday. So it was much more expensive for him to pay me over 9 hours to find him someone than it would have been for him to hire Clint and Level and just waited the 2.5, 3 weeks for them to cultivate and find the perfect person, right? It's the same thing with hiring an nanny agency or not. You can go on care.com and you can post and you can dig, or you can hire one of our agencies and we are going to do all the hard work and deliver the top 2 or 3 candidates to you. So it was Level that I mentioned. It looks like we have a couple of chats. Colleen, you're so cute. Good to see you, Colleen. Who had the other question?
Well, just Colleen saying how, I'm assuming she wants to know, how are you hiring all your experts?
How, Miss Colleen? Good question. Well, Level. Additional other places such as Upwork, such as Fiverr, or my main VA, which we'll talk about in a minute, found her through a training program, and then she posted in the training program. But guys, when I tell you, if you do it on your own, I think in order to find Sarah, who was our second VA, I had like 32 interviews. To find our new social media person, Jaden had so many interviews.
Yeah.
I mean, it is very similar to what you do with nannies. But the question is, when you're talking about experts, especially those like recruiters, companies like Level can attract people from other countries, can provide them with job security, life insurance, health insurance, have a presence there, understand their culture, right? And then just charge you. You're not taking on the responsibility of an employee, right? So there's a big difference. All right. So how can I hire somebody that knows more than I do, right? I think we've kind of talked about this, some other ideas. You hire your lawyer, you hire your accountant. the HVAC guy. I know how to turn on the thermostat. That's about as far as I get, right? So I want to give you 5 tips for how you can successfully hire these individuals and assure they're doing their job well. At the same time, make sure you remind me, if we do choose to do employment, I want to talk about KPIs before the end. Okay. All right. So the 5 A's of managing your team. Okay. Y'all ready? Here we go. Number 1, assist. You need to know enough to help them do their job, right? To brainstorm, to give them ideas and provide some level of support for them. Okay. You don't have to know all the coding for how the website is going to be developed, but you can't just throw it at them and expect them to read your mind. You got to assist them to be successful. Okay. Number 2 is advise, right? You don't have to be the best at something in order to advise them. What you need is the skill of discernment. You need to tell them, is it a good idea or is it a bad idea? Okay. The social media director wants to put something up about divorce, maybe not the best idea, right? You need to be able to advise, is this on brand? Is it not on brand? You need to be able to advocate, be able to know enough about what they do in order to get their needs met and help them be better understood, right? What is it exactly are they going to provide when you're talking to the website designer? Are they going to do the SEO for you? Does it include branding, right? You need to know enough about what you want and need in order to advocate. Number 4, you need to appreciate them, right? This is a big one, whether they're your experts or whether you're employees. Appreciation goes a long, long way. And I could do a whole separate presentation on ways to show appreciation. But some simple ones would be a thank you note. Sending them now, if you have an iPhone, you can send a Starbucks gift card through the Messenger app, through the regular text messaging app. Love that. I'll do that all the time. Zoom, 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 zoom. Who doesn't love Starbucks? We have a sheet I could probably pull up. My clients fill it out as well. It's called My Favorite Things. And the sheet is intended to learn more about my employees, more about my clients, to see what they truly enjoy. And that way, when I'm gifting them, I am able to, here we go. Here is the sheet real quick. I'll show you. Real simple, guys. I'm able to make it better. So what is their birth month and day? What's their favorite color? Do they like coffee or tea? Their favorite sweet or treat? Their favorite flower, their favorite hobby, their favorite restaurants in their town, their favorite places to shop. I mean, you can show major appreciation if you know those things, right? Gift cards, bouquets, little treats. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be a lot of money, but something that just says thank you for doing what you do, I think is super important. And the last one is accountability. Know enough to know if they were doing a good job, right? The quality of work can be improved. So I think this is a good time to talk about KPIs. What do you think? Are you guys familiar with what KPIs are?
Yes.
Oh, you're familiar with KPIs. Okay. What do KPIs stand for to you?
Key performance indicators.
Who is speaking? I can't see.
I'm Evan Joy.
Hi, Evan Joy. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Key performance indicators. You're exactly right. On LinkedIn this morning, because you know our phones like watch us, it's a little creepy. Literally on LinkedIn this morning, this post came up and I'm like absolutely obsessed. I wish I could share it with you. But it says KPI and it key performance indicators, and it crosses it out. And it says, keep people informed, keep people interested, keep people involved, and keep people inspired. And I love that. I thought that made much more sense, right? So what is the information that you need to gain from your experts or from your employees to keep them involved, inspired, informed, and for you to know how they're doing, right? What is that information? And that is a KPI. And I'll share with you a couple that we have here at Preferred Childcare so you can kind of get an idea of what I mean. And again, how incredibly complex they are. You know, we do everything so fancy around here. It's so complex. So hold on, it's giving me a second. It wants me to log in. Where's that recruitment one? That's the one I wanted to show. Do you know where that recruitment one is, Ms. M?
Try recruitment KPI.
I did.
Or 2023 recruitment KPI.
Oh, 2023. Thank you. Does anybody have a KPI that they're currently using? There it is. Yes, no, maybe. Let's see some chat. Clint, you got some fans. We knew you would. We knew you would. Okay, so here is a real life KPI for us. So here are the goals, right? You've seen the shift in the market. I think it would be easier to show you in it. Yeah. So here are the goals. Ideally, we'll get 250 applications a month. Ideally, 75 interviews a month. Ideally, 50 face-to-face interviews, and ideally 20 hired. Okay. Ideally, perfect world. That's the goal. So you can see when we hired our level assistant just recently, we went from 90 to 156. We had 2 people doing the job. Em and Highland were doing the job in January. They did 163. Just Em in February, bless her. And then now our new guy, 156. Love it. Phone interviews, his goal was 75. Oh, he almost doubled it. 152. So 42 went to the interview stage, which is pretty darn close, right? And we hired 6. Can't always, you know, you have a goal, you strive to meet the goal. But when you go here and you see 90, you got to go, okay, guys, what am I doing wrong? That's not my, you know, we need to do something different. We need to be recruiting differently if we're that far off. And then I can look and I can, here is literally every person that applied, right? When their interview was, how many days to interview, all of this stuff. Now, the good news is Engine Hire automates all this for you. This is just a good old Google sheet. It does not need to be that fancy. I want to know where they're finding us. I want to know how long it took for them to get there. My goal is 8 days from application to interview. And so this allows me to take a pulse of how things are going, allows the recruiter to know how they're doing in meeting expectations, allows me to advise, and allows me to adjust. And Jenna, it's okay that you don't have KPIs. A lot of people don't have KPIs. But what I will say is they are the key to helping your team succeed in the role. Because they, by setting a goal, an obtainable, reasonable goal, specific, measurable, obtainable, reasonable, time-bound goal, then they can then hold themselves accountable, know how they're doing, right? And you can see, is there a problem? So sometimes we find, okay, we got a whole bunch of applications from Indeed, but none of them made them all the way through. So is there something different we need to do with our post? Do we need to diversify where we're looking for individuals? Or maybe you go to a job fair and you get a ton of interest and none of them make it all the way through. Or you go to a college and you only get a little bit of interest, but every single person you hire, right? So we want to make sure that when we are putting systems in place and spending time doing things, that we're going back and evaluating, was this a good idea or not? Did this work out for us or not? And the only way you're going to be able to do that is to measure, right? And a KPI is a really good way to measure. So another way you can have your KPIs can be, we have them for our placements, number of jobs that were booked, number of jobs that were open. Did we have call outs? Like keeping track of all of that. Were we unable to fill all of our Sunday church requests? That seems to be a trending thing. If so, we need to hire more, right? And so every person on my team has a KPI for their role. It helps them hold themselves accountable. It helps me manage them better. And they know the expectation. Sound good? Any questions around that? Okay. Y'all are being quiet today. Okay. So what if you need more general help? This would be.
I have a
if
quick
you-
question, Megan.
Oh, ask away.
How do you increase the first touch point of the number of applications? Yeah. What are your go-to methods for doing so?
That's a good question. So you're asking, when we're looking to hire candidates, how do we get more candidates in the door?
Exactly.
So a variety of different ways. You're going to have to test and measure and see what works for you. Here in the triad, I will say that our Google AdWords are our best friend. So either putting more money in that, if you figured it out already, you got to test it first. Indeed, ours is our second best friend. So sometimes we'll have one open position, but we'll post it 3 separate ways. We'll post it with the hourly rate. We'll post it with the weekly rate. We'll post it with the annual rate, and we'll test and see what works best, right? Our third best friend is going to be our local colleges, because we do part-time and on-call and all those sorts of things. And we have partnerships with colleges where they will literally mass email the entire college or university about us and our open jobs. And guess how much they charge me? Nothing. Nothing. I'll have somebody get contact career services and go on campus and shake hands and kiss babies is what I call it. Go to job fairs. We'll send out open job emails. That's a really good way. So keeping those emails of anyone that's ever been interested in applying, sending an open jobs email, just make sure, my friends, that you put at the bottom of that open jobs email, this is not a solicitation to our current nannies placed with families. For information purposes only, please forward this to a friend. The last thing you want is a family calling you yelling, why are you trying to get my nanny to leave me? That's not what we're doing, right? So using the connections you already have, we have done everything under the sun. We've done like referral raffles where we currently offer like $100 for a full-time nanny and $50 for like a part-time on-call nanny. But we'll be like triple bonus this month only, especially if you get ready for August. Watch out, guys. We'll be like triple bonus this month only. Whoever you refer, get triple the bonus, $300. They'd be like referring people off the streets for $300. They like walk up to somebody in Target and be like, work for this company. Let them work for you, right? So those are some of our go-to ways. Can you think of some more, Marisha?
That's pretty much what I could think of. Also at the career fairs, we like to make connections with the other people that are there, or at the last couple of career fairs, I've gone to, some of their teachers will come up to me, or people who work in the education department and early childhood development. I make the connections with them and follow up emails with them and just share our recruitment stuff. We have a college flyer and they are more than willing to hang those up and share those with their classes as well.
Yeah, you're really good at that. You always like find the director of the early childhood development department. She'll be like, got her card. We're going to meet for coffee. I'm like, yes. Right. So I have a client that says, oh, she's so brilliant. She says, you could give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day, or you can teach a man to fish and he'll eat for a lifetime. In taking that analogy, instead of finding one applicant, she goes straight to the source of all the applicants and makes the relationship there. We do the same thing with our vendor for client meetings, or what is it called? Events. Thank you. So like those events that you do where you like shake hands and kiss babies with clients, we have a team member whose sole job is to go make relationships with the other vendors. All right. So we're not looking at just getting one family. We're looking at finding the source that can continue to feed us families. Is that helpful?
It was. And I have one more question.
Go ahead.
When hiring an expert, do you have the problem solved in your mind and you're using the expert to execute, or do you enlist the expert's feedback in solving the problem? What have you found to be most successful?
I enlist the expert's feedback because I want them to be involved in it. Now, and I'm going to talk about this next, what you need to do to make sure that you get the right direction. But I am all about, if they're the expert, and when I say the word expert, I don't mean, like L, our recruiter, doesn't have a master's in recruiting, right? But he has experience, a passion, the right personality, and he was willing to learn and work hard. So I use the word expert to say someone whose sole focus is that task, right? So, but if I'm hiring an expert, then I want them to be a part of it. I want them to own it. I want them to give me an idea I've never considered. That whole, like, can you see the forest when you're in the middle of the trees? You're bringing someone in from the outside. They have a totally different view. So use that to your advantage. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, yeah. So more general help, we consider a VA. And I love my VAs. Oh my gosh, I couldn't do life without them. They make me better. To your point, my main VA is out of Thailand. We have one in Kenya, Africa. We have one in Vancouver, Canada. And we have one, I never know where she is. I think she's in Kentucky, but she lived in Asia for a while, and she's like a backpacker, hiker, whatever. You never know where you're going to find her. And so they could be anywhere. And that's the beauty of it. It's just simply about their skills and do they understand what you're trying to do, and do they bring something to the table? And they're most often a more affordable choice and a predictable choice, because we put our VAs on a set amount each month, and they just work off of that, right? So
We have a hand.
oh, we have a hand. Yes, ma'am. Shayna, I think it's you, dear.
Hi, sorry.
No.
Can we just quickly circle back to I guess your high focus on networking and really kind of putting yourself out there and forming those relationships at job fairs and such. Where do you find the confidence to do that? Or where do your staff find the confidence to do that? Is it just kind of their personalities? Is it practice? Where does it come from?
That's a really good question. I think it is their personalities. We hire based on personalities, right? So I have particular personalities through the DISC assessment that I want in particular roles. So to your point, for someone who's going to be outbound sales or doing events, they're going to be most likely a high I, an influencer, a cheerleader, never met a stranger, life of the party, like Marisha here. She'll talk to anyone about anything and she loves it. It gives her energy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that's why she's phenomenal with the candidates. She gets to know them. She builds trust with them, right? And then they tell her their life story, whether we want to hear it or not, right? And so that's where it comes from. So I would say, if you are not naturally that type of person, then you can consider bringing someone on board that is naturally that type of person. If not, if you're not at that stage yet, you can script it. Everything we do, and we were going to talk about this in this next slide, we have an SOP for, which is, a standard operating procedure. We have a training manual and a video library for every single task. If I was to get hit by a bus tomorrow, the business could continue because it's all documented. Maybe I should say if I was going to go on a cruise for 6 months instead of the bus, but 6 and 1/2 dozen another. It's the business has to continue. It can't be contingent on you. It can't be contingent on your Kate, right? And so all my VAs from all over the world, this is actually them, Thailand, Kenya, I don't know where she is right now, Asia, Kentucky, who knows? They all share our same core values. They all have SOPs. And they actually documented their SOPs. So this wasn't me in front of Google Docs for 8 hours, right? Written documentation and video documentation of every single task. And y'all know it's not fancy, right? If I haven't shown you, it is so easy to get this started. You can go to Zoom, you can do screen share only, and you can walk through a process like you normally would speaking it out loud. Right? Okay, so we're going to send an email to a family. We go to Gmail, we enter this. Here's what we say. Here's what we do. Boom, it's documented. It's that simple. So back to your question, hire based on personality, essentially. core values, and then make sure you know what you want that person to do and you have it documented, right? So if you have no clue what you want them to do, or you want them to do 20 different things that require different personalities, they're not going to be super successful. So the person who is shaking hands and kissing babies, as I call it, is not the one that's coming back and doing your bookkeeping. That's not good. That's not good. Mm-mm. No offense. You could probably do bookkeeping fine if you wanted to, but you might cry because it's so task oriented. Right? So Shayna, I would say, take a disc assessment, find out what you are. Here are my two favorites. Let me see if I can put this in the chat box. I have two favorite assessments that I use with every client and every single employee, both. It is the disc assessment, and there's actually a free version I found. It's not as good as my paid one, but hey, it's free. Here's the free disc for those of you that aren't familiar. And then my other one, y'all, I am so obsessed with it. I'm going to become certified in it as soon as I get out of grad school. But my other one is based off of a book and by Patrick Lencioni. And if you haven't heard Patrick Lencioni before, the man is just a genius. But it's based off a book, and it's called The 6 Types of Working Genius. And I love this one. And the reason why is Patrick has defined that there are 6 types of working genius. And the 2 that give us energy is where we should be spending our time. The 2 that take energy away from us is where we need to be hiring or delegating from. And then you got 2 that you can do, and you'll be fine at it, but they don't give you energy, right? So the more you know about yourself, and the more you know about what brings you energy and what you're naturally good at, allows you to see where the gaps are, and allows you to say, okay, can I hire a general VA to help with these gaps? Do I need a couple of experts to help with these gaps? Right? So I highly recommend those. Working Genius, I think, is like $25, but it's really cool. And it will, if you have a team member do it, it'll put the 2 of you together and make like a team map. I thought it was funny, like my entire team all had, I think it was enablement. Yeah. Enablement is the natural gift of providing encouragement and assistance for an idea or a project. They're all team oriented, essentially. But we were missing some. So as I started interviewing experts, I'd have them do the working genius. I'd be like, do you have my missing working genius? And the ones that did are the ones that went to the top of the list. Is that helpful?
Yes, very helpful. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Of course. We have a question. Have you always employed your childcare providers, or did you start with the babysitters being independent contractors? Good question. In the United States of America, babysitters, nannies, on-call care providers are never independent contractors. According to IRS law, they are either the employee of the agency or the employee of the family, always 100% of the time. So if you are training them, telling them what job to go to and when to go there, having them clock in, clock out, if you are paying them, if you are having them wear a polo shirt, any of these things, they're your employee. There are some agencies that are getting around that using apps. We'll just let the IRS catch up to them. That's all I got to say about that. It is very, very clear. When I started in 2001, this law was not in place. They were independent contractors. Y'all, I owned 2 Mercedes. I was vacationing. Like I was living life on the hog. And then in 2008, the law came into place and I came to a screeching halt. I had to pay a giant fine. It was called amnesty, to basically say, I didn't know this was a law because it had just come in. Here is a ton of money. Please don't come after me. And then I employed from there on out. I don't got Mercedes no more, that's for sure. But I have more control over what happens, right? I can write them up if they don't perform well. I can tell them this is how I want it done and how I expect you to act and behave. And we're not that crazy about it, but you understand. Just the idea of training them and giving them performance reviews or even better, giving them income that was taxable that allowed them to get apartments where they weren't calling me every April sobbing because they owed $2,000 and they had no way to come up with that money. That allowed me to sleep at night. I really struggled when they were independent contractors because of liability. So having them be your employees actually makes a big difference. So a lot of agencies will do referral babysitting service, and that's fine as long as the family is paying them, you're not getting involved, you're not training them, you're offering them a schedule and they can choose to accept it or not, right? There's I think it's a 10 or 12 tier process that the IRS uses. You can Google it, but independent contractor versus employee. But essentially, they are then the family's employees. Is the family going to take payroll taxes out on them? I don't know. Just hope they don't run for office. Somebody, you want to read that one to me?
With Jenna?
Mm-hmm.
Right now, my agency doesn't employ quality control, like you said. We are a referral service. So you had to make the switch from no payroll to employees to employees.
I'm interested in what, do you want to ask the question, Jenna, honey?
Sure. So I asked about the having employees, because right now we are a referral service. We don't employ the babysitters, and we explain to the parents that they may be considered an employee based on how much they pay this babysitter. But I am interested in having them become employees for all of the reasons you just described and more quality control. So it sounds like you had to make the switch from like no payroll, no employee system, and then get that established.
Correct. Yeah, correct. And at the time I had over 100 people. And it was a big business. Like it was rough. Here's what I'll say. If you decide that you want to employ your nannies or sitters, I employ you to consider corporate care. And the reason why is I feel like it's the future of childcare, to be honest with you, because what we have seen across the United States, definitely in first quarter and now it's creeping into second quarter, has been a shift in traditional care across all 400 of the agencies in our community. Some of them are really excelling, and they're the ones that are focused on high net worth clients. High net worth tends to have this like invisible shield around them, so that when there are shifts in the economy or shifts in the job market, it doesn't seem to impact them as much because it's generational wealth, right? But the upper middle class, which is our typical here preferred, our typical client is the doctor, the surgeon, the lawyer, the small business owner. They are shifting the way they work, and they're not looking for the traditional full-time. They're maybe wanting part-time. They're maybe wanting a household manager, right? So as I see this play out in the future, as more and more people go remote, we are going to really need to be looking at the employers, the ones with the millions of dollars in profit, to start contributing to the childcare expense. My client in London was telling me yesterday that UK has proposed, actually they just passed, I believe, this huge bill that the government is now going to start paying for childcare, right? So, which Germany's been doing for years. You know, if you have a baby in Germany, you get a 3-year paid maternity leave from the government. 3 years. 3 years. I have 4 kids. I would have never gone back to work. So my point in all this is to say, if you're employing, look at corporate care. Big, huge sales, predictable income, larger gross margins. We can pay these nannies more than we've ever been able to before. And we're going to solve a problem in a way we've never been able to before. Families that couldn't access our care because it was so expensive are going to be able to access it now. You get 1 or 2 corporate care clients, and you're going to pay for your salary and 1 other team member's salary annually, like that.
Great. That's a good tip.
Yeah. You crack me up, Bria. She is just over there. I'm so ready to employ for backup care. I'm so ready. Let's do this. Bria, you're the best. I'm sure you're working, Bria, but if you want to talk, you can. Other questions about that? Okay. I think we're on my last slide, and then, okay. SOPs, standard operating procedures, written documentation and video documentation. People learn different ways. You need to write it out. You need to video it. And there's actually an app. It's on my computer. I can't remember what it's called. It starts with a D. I'm sure you can Google it. But what it does is you can upload a video and it will write out the script for you. Like, hello, let's do that. That sounds great. I think what it's called in a minute, but okay. So how are we going to grow? We're going to shift our mindset to look at hiring experts. We're going to assist them, advise them, advocate for them, appreciate them, hold them accountable, repeat the process, and keep going at it. And that is how you're going to get to the next stage and the next stage and the next stage. And that's why you have agencies that have been here for, 60 years, right? It's not that one individual owner continually doing the same task and continually answering the phones. It's someone who has built a team to surround them. All right, a couple minutes for questions, and then I'll let you guys have your afternoon. Y'all could just speak up or put them in the chat box, whichever you prefer. Clint, I think everyone was super excited. If you want to repost your information for everyone to see down at the bottom, highly recommend Level. They are just an incredible company. They actually inspired us. We were putting together a post-placement process, right? Like after we placed the nanny, they were getting information every 30 to 60 days from us. But Level was so good at, as soon as we signed, they started sending us information. I was like, ooh, I like this idea. Like it was just, they kind of take you along with them. That's kind of how I felt. Like I was holding your hand, Clint, the entire time. So
We have a hand from Sierra, it looks like.
all right, go ahead, dear. Hi, Sierra. How are you?
Oh, my question is from the very beginning, from when you were talking about appreciation. I can show my appreciation for my nannies and my babysitters all I want. And I can, sing until the cows come home to my families to appreciate their sitters and their nannies. But, just last week, it was last week or 2 weeks ago, I had a nanny that was, just in tears sobbing because this mom was just not treating her very well. On paper and everything, the match was amazing, but, in real life, not such a great match. But it was just because she wasn't totally feeling appreciated. So I was just wondering if you have any advice for, if there's something if there's a magic word I can say to families to have them show some sort of appreciation for their nannies, that's, not coming from me. I can do it all day long, but sometimes it really does need to come from the parents where they see every single day.
That's exactly right. So I think a couple of things here, right? One would be the information I was mentioning, where I was saying how I felt like I was holding hands with Clint. What we have really spent the past quarter on, my project managers have, is this literally post-place, we call it post-nurture project, but it is a series of blogs. It is a series of PDFs. It's a series of videos that educate the family and the nanny. So for example, showing appreciation to your nanny is one of them. There's a blog, there's a PDF, there's a video. And then for the nanny, it may be how to have difficult conversations, right? We're giving them as much information as we can because this is such a unique industry. If you're familiar with business terms, you may have heard B2B, business to business, and B2C, business to consumer. So B2B would be like Tide selling to Walmart, and B2C would be like Walmart selling to you. Well, those are the traditional business world, but we're P2P, we're people to people. We're selling relationships, and that is so hard. So I give them as much information as I can up front. I give them information after the placement, so they're continuing to do it. And in the forefront, we do the DISC test. Let me tell you why. Because if she's a high D, directive, demanding, dominant personality mom, she's not going to say anything. She's only going to say something when she's mad. But if I can tell the candidate, mom is a high D personality, 3% of the world's populations are high Ds. They make the best CEOs in the world, yet they can come across as very cold, demanding. That's not how she is. She's just focused on getting tasks and results done. So please know, even if she doesn't say thank you, she would tell you she was disappointed.
True. That's good advice.
We can't change someone's personality, right? Yeah. That's kind of the rub, right? However, we can prepare the candidate. So if they are a super sensitive person, we won't send them there to begin with, right? There's the disc matching again. And then give that mama as much advice as we can. But the unfortunate, and we've fired families before because they're just so unappreciative. If it crosses a line, like, again, you have two clients, your caregivers and your families. And if you've got a family that is abusive to a caregiver, verbally or emotionally, get rid of them. It's not worth it because you're going to lose the caregivers and the respect and the trust just as quick. Does that help?
Yeah, that's super helpful. Thank you.
Great. Bria, do you give the parents the DISC test or the nanny? Both. Everyone in my life gets the DISC test. It's funny. And it doesn't have to be DISC. It can be Enneagram. It can be, there's so many. Oh my gosh, Myers-Briggs. That one's a little.
Hey, sorry to bother you.
No, it's okay.
Did you say yes, I could book Patricia?
Someone's on the phone. Hang on.
Oh, I didn't see it.
You
Oh,
wanna-
yes, you could. Yeah, yeah.
Maria, can you mute?
Yeah, I prefer if the mom's
Maria,
home.
mute.
Oops. Okay.
Alejandra, will you mute Maria? All right.
I think I have to go.
Let's
Sorry.
take one more
but
question
yeah,
and I'll let you
that's
guys go.
okay, thank you.
Alejandra, can you mute Maria? Any more questions? Everybody has gotten their fill and learned at least one thing and they're going to contact Clint.
I have a question.
Yes.
So you described a lot of innovation on the nanny side. In addition to implementing the personality tests, are there any other innovations that you've implemented on the client side that you have found to be really impactful?
Ooh, that's a good question. Yes, actually, we created, it's okay, Maria, you're a good girl. We love you. Yes. Inside Podia, which is available for my group coaching clients and my online course clients, we created a family assessment that uses motivational interviewing. And it has been game changing. And the reason why is it asks questions in a sequence that you would never think to ask. So here are examples. What prompted you to feel like now is the time to consider an adjustment to your childcare plan? Tell us what problems, dilemmas, or concerns that you want to resolve through the use of in-home childcare. What will happen if you're not able to create a viable solution? How different is that than why do you need a nanny? Right? So the whole assessment takes you through in a motivational way, takes you through really helping that client think through and discover what the needs are and how you can uniquely meet them. So I think that's kind of one of our, here's one that I love, that you can kind of use easily. If we found a Mary Poppins level match for your family, what would their special skill be? Right? Just the way in which you ask things and you think about how, what feels confusing or uncertain about this process, right? Really using motivational interviewing as a technique. And we use it in our interviewing all the time with our nannies, but to turn it and use it with the families has been incredible. It's been incredible. And it sells it for you. And we do the same thing. This is very similar to what I have for free under bonuses with the corporate care assessment. We do the same thing to our corporate care clients. And this is not a manipulation technique at all. It is simply the way in which you ask questions to help them think through. So on the website under bonuses, the corporate care assessment is also motivational interviewing. And it just has them realize, man, if we don't do this, we're going to have a problem. It sells the solution for you. So all you're doing at that point is just matching up their needs with what you have. So definitely download that and then you can tweak it. to fit families, or you can join one of our groups and get it for free.
And is that on your website?
It is under bonuses, not the family one, the corporate client. I'll put it in the thing.
Perfect.
The
Thank you.
corporate guide and assessment. All right, guys. Well, this has been wonderful as always. Thank you, Alejandro, and the Engine Hire team for
Megan.
hosting. You're just so wonderful. Big fan of Engine Hire over here, as you know.
Thank you so much, Megan, for everything and for your time. And yeah, thank you, everyone. We will be sending you as well the recording of the webinar the next week. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.